All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. Um, Want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor be to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Um, this is your brother Isaiah, joined by the brothers Azrael and Obadiah for right now, and brother Danal, I'm sure, and Baruch will be with us in the physical shortly. But right now, we'll take it that they're in the spirit. So all praise, glory be to the Most High God. It's your brother, hopefully elect, changing up the regimen a little bit. We normally go on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and on the Sabbath, of course. However, due to me being out of town, I elected to get on today instead of yesterday. So today's topic is titled, my player, building the perfect spouse, right? And we're just going to go into understanding what it's like or how do we go about creating that perfect partner. But before we get into the lesson, before we get into the word, we're going to play the blowing of the shofar by our brother Azrael.
Not by me, brother. I'm just sharing it, brother.
Well, yeah. Not you actually blowing it, but you sharing it. Con. So that was the blowing of the shofar, man. And like we say, we appreciate those who are fellowshipping with us live, who will tune in after the live is over with. For those who do share and find this information useful, resourceful, use it for yourself. If not, share it with others who you may think could benefit from having this wisdom, right? But let's go get into the lesson, man. So if you could, brother Azrael, go ahead and pull up the book of Genesis chapter 2 in verse number 18, right? Genesis 2 and 18. This will be our overall precept that we refer to throughout the night. And it's going to be two that we're going to read. This is going to be the main one, but the other one we'll read, and it's going to be, one that we use too to in this situation. So we can do bottom to top. We can do bottom to top. So I guess Obadiah, you can go first.
Genesis chapter 2 and verse 18. And the Lord God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him."
Right. It's not good that man should be alone, so I'm going to make him a help me, right? And this is where we begin our lesson, understanding how do we create that partner. Well, there's four key points that we want to address in this lesson. First of the points is, uh, you know, the myth of perfection, right? But also it'll be attributes and badges, spinning VC, and of course the most important factor of them all, team chemistry. The reason that we're going into this understanding is based on a post that was put in I guess a group chat last night between our organization, and it was a conversation starter talking about, you got to create the perfect wife, or you got to create the perfect partner. And it sparked a very good dialogue, which I agree with in a lot of ways, that oftentimes in life we get offended by the word create. But hear me out, it is necessary that we create the partners that we want. And I'm likening this lesson in real life of creating a partner like we play NBA 2K, for those who still play, video games as such, right? But NBA 2K has a mode on the game where you can play, it's called My Career. And in My Career, you create you a player and you build this player up to where you want him to be, right? One of my talking points from my notes, and I'll just pull them up real quick, being that, uh, I got the notes on my phone and on in my notepad. Excuse me, I'm stuttering, but in my notepad. So I'm gonna be going back and forth, right? But one of the main talking points I had on here, along with the four main points we addressed, is understanding that um, high overall design marriage as a partnership and not necessarily a customary creation. So marriage is a partnership, not something that you can just, always create it, that you create it like you want it to be. However, again, we can create things, and we can create environments, and we can put people in positions that we want them to be in our lives, right? So with the next precept, let's go to Genesis 1 and 27. Genesis 1 and 27. So this is going to start addressing point one, right?
You cut out, brother. You cut out, brother. Or is that me?
Nah, I can hear you.
First, see our spouse is already valuable and complete. So let's read Genesis 1 and 27.
Look at Genesis chapter 1 and 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
Right. God created man in his own image. So there's nothing more that we can do as mortal men to change the image, to change the likeness that the Lord had made somebody in. Right. Let's go to another one. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 17. And we're going to read verses 1 through 3. So let's go to Sirach or Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 17. Right. Again, we're addressing that everyone is made in God's image. What is this addressing overall is the point that the myth of perfection by man's standard is not necessarily unobtainable, but however, we're going to get into that further on. Let's read this in Sirach 17.
It's on you, Denal. We're doing bottom to top.
This is Sirach chapter 17 and verse number 3.
Starting at verse 1.
Starting at verse 1. Can you scroll up? There you go. The Lord created man on the earth and turned him into it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein. He endured them with strength by themselves and made them according to his image.
So we see here again that the Most High, the host of heaven, had made man according to his image. He gave us these attributes. He gave us these qualities, these characteristics, right? He created us, right? And it's similar to how we think of creating a spouse. Again, the question I want to pose right here is, how does seeing your spouse as God's image bearer change how you approach, marriage, right? Because again, we can't do anything to alter our partners physically, right? Of course, what I mean by that is you yourself can't change anything. It would be only unto the Lord to create a person the way he wanted them to create them, right? Now, of course, you can go to the gym, or if somebody's looking to gain weight, you can go to the gym, right? So
Had surgery. You went out.
Yeah, you can go to the gym, man, and you can build yourself up, but you can't build somebody else. You can't make somebody else lift those weights. They got to do that on their own.
That person still may not achieve. I'm so lucky. You said what?
Go ahead, King.
Okay, Con. What I was saying was that person still may not achieve the image, the physique that you want them to achieve, right? Because like we always talk about and mention, J. Cole said it best, there's always going to be something different in the world that can be desired because it may be something that you're attracted to, you like. But remember that we're all created in the Lord's image, right? So nobody's essentially, quote unquote, perfect, right? And I'm not saying that to say that the Lord didn't make us perfect, because I believe he did, because we're made in his image, right? What I'm saying is speaking to the ideology of those who are seeking a partner and thinking that your partner has to have X, Y, and Z, right? I had some more precepts. We read Sirach 17. Go to John 7 and 24. No, wait. Before you go to John 7, go to Sirach 9. Go to Sirach 9 and 8. We might as well just stay there in the same chapter, in the same book.
God.
Sirach chapter 9 and verse 8. Turn away thy eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman. For herewith love is kindled as a fire.
Right. You're going to be deceived by looking at women that you find attractive. And I'm not, hold on, wait. Now, bear with me. Stay with me now. I'm not saying that attractive women are all wicked. I'm not saying that it's a sin to be attractive. What I'm speaking on is the same thing with brothers to women, and it's the same thing with women to men. You have to learn how to look for a partner. When you're trying to create this person, when you're trying to, find this perfect partner, you have to stop always going for your type. Sometimes you have to look outside of the quality, outside of the, again, the physical quality that you may desire, because a lot of people are overthrown by their lustful desire towards somebody that they're interested in. It's no longer of spirituality, it's everything of physicality. And when it's of physicality, it's no longer of the Lord. You have to have a perfect balance in every relationship. And every time you want to court, date, vet somebody, the last thing that should be on your mind is their body parts. And it's hard to do that when you're desiring and all you want to go after is these top of the notch brothers or these top of the notch women. Again, I'm not telling you to go just find you somebody just crusty, bummed out and everything. But what I am saying is when you're seeking a spouse, you have to use wisdom, especially people that are fair to look upon. And that goes for men or women, because it's a dangerous game. Go ahead. Go ahead, Op.
I think Obadiah was first. I
Con,
was.
my bad. Yeah,
I'll
I
go.
can't see y'all too. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
see y'all too. So if y'all got something to say, just say Salaki, but go ahead.
all right. Con, I think Obadiah said I can go first. But yeah, so I'll say, man, like what the brother said, we're not saying, man, go out and get you somebody ugly, and we're not saying that looks don't account for nothing, right? Because I'm the type of person, being honest, like if that book don't look attractive, I'm not picking up that book. You know what I'm saying? But what Obadiah is not Obadiah, but what the brother Isaiah is saying is it's the contents of the book that matter the most. So if you're gonna make any exceptions, make the exceptions of I'm not attracted to them physically, but I'm making an exception because on the inside they fulfill this. Don't make the exception be, well, they're not there right now all internally, but on the outside they banging. You got to make sure that you're using your exceptions to the rule in the right areas, right? And what matters most. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Don't be deceived by what you're looking at, right? And don't think a lot of times the deception is that you'll never find somebody like that person again. Oh, if I pass up on them, she's way out of my league. He's way out of my league. If I pass up on this, I may not find somebody as attractive as this. So, I can make an exception and maybe they'll grow into what I want. No, right? Don't be deceived by that. God made plenty of people in this earth, right? So don't be deceived by looks. Man. Don't let looks influence your decisions.
Right. Hey, before you go, Obadiah, that's the main point, right? Not the main point of this lesson, but that's the main point. When you read Sirach 9 and 8, that's the message that's being conveyed. You cannot make exceptions just because somebody looks good, because your life will be a living hell, all because you turned a blind eye to someone's wickedness based on the physical desire toward them. And you don't want to do that.
You cut out, King. Hello? Hello?
When seeking a spouse, the last thing you
There you
should
go.
want to look at.
You had cut out for a minute, King.
I did.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you heard?
You're talking about that's what this is talking about. Don't make exceptions. The last thing, and then you cut out.
It's a lot, man.
You said the last thing that you would want, and
Right.
then
Pretty much the last thing you'd want is just to, like you say, make exceptions for the physical features, because then you'll realize how how much chemistry you all lack. Right. But go ahead, Obadiah.
Yeah, and I know you had brought up the my player. When you build a my player, anybody that play like Madden or 2K or college football, if you want to build a player, you have different sliders of different things that you want to build your player. You know, like the brother saying, beauty ain't everything. You don't want to focus. You don't want to focus on just you got all the sliders up on beauty. Like if I'm playing 2K and I'm building a center, I'm not gonna put all my sliders up for him having the best or him having good drip handles, good passing ability, because that's not the traits I want him to have as a center. I'll make sure his rebound is straight, right? So it's like that's the same thing when you building trying to build a woman up in his truth. The most important thing is the spirit, you know what I'm saying? Build her up spiritually, because looks gonna fade. Y'all gonna get old and wrinkly one day, and she might not look how she did when you first met her. But what's gonna keep you there, is that bond that y'all had spiritually, man. You've been building that up. Y'all been building that up in each other. The sliders, y'all been sliding that up with each other throughout time. So beauty, when y'all get older, ain't gonna really mean nothing like that.
Right. So don't focus on the sliders of trying to make everybody everything, right? Take the qualities that the Most High gave them and build on it like that. The same way we do in 2K is the same way you got to do in real life. Same way you do in Madden is the same way you got to do in real life, right? But let's go to John 7:24.
The book of John. Is it on me? Yeah. The book of John, chapter 7 and verse 24. It says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
Right. We're not judging according to appearance. Righteous judgment. Righteous judgment. It's not righteous to think that somebody is unfit for your heart just because they may be a little bigger or smaller than you would like for them to be. When you're trying to create a spouse, again, you want to build them to what you want them to be, but that's more spiritual than it is physical, because physically the Lord made us the way he made us. Again, I'm not saying that you can't make changes, right? You can't really change someone's height. You can through surgery, but that's not what the Lord gave you naturally, right? You can't really change. Well, hell, in this day and age, you can make alterations to anything. So this is what I'll say. You maybe can buy your way to make those changes, but a lot of the changes that you make aren't naturally. The only type of change that I think that is natural, because I don't think the Lord desired anybody to just be morbidly obese, right? So going to the gym, cutting weight for health purposes is not really changing somebody's physical state. It is, but in a sense, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm speaking on like BBLs. I'm speaking on like, extensions when it comes to height and stuff like that.
Salakia too. I got two examples, right? One example of judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. What is that saying? Like the brother said, it's talking about your actions, man. Your actions way more than how you look. For example, when we take the basketball approach, right? You may have somebody you like, man, I gotta get him on my team. He's 7 foot tall. Yeah, you judge according to appearance. Now you got him on your team, and he trash.
Garbage.
He can't make a free throw. He can't pass. He can't get a rebound. He just tall. So you got him in there for jump ball, and now he sit on the bench. You judged according to appearance and not off his actions, right? And let's talk about a girl, right? A woman, right? Say you're trying to find a wife. She may look small, dainty, and like she's a soft girl, and she in her soft girl era. You marry her because you judged off of appearance. You done laid down with her and you married her. And now she's stabbing you in the leg, right? She trying to punch you. She's not soft at all because you judged according to appearance and not righteous judgment, not according to their actions, man. You got to pay attention to their actions.
Hey, that brother has Rael madness, right? He know why I said that. But look, check this out, man. Hey, you got to think about it like he said, man. It's all about the actions. As a basketball coach myself, literally in our draft these last couple years, man, it's been a lot of tall players. glad I didn't draft him though, because had I did, it would have been a lot of investing that I would have had to do to mold that player in what I wanted them to be, or what they needed to be for the sake of the team, because they weren't as good, right? But that's a mighty point, you know. Again, judge righteous judgment. When you're creating a partner, make sure that you're looking at yourself first before you try to judge anybody based on physical appearance. You need to go look at yourself physically. Now, if you check in the box physically, then you need to make sure that you check in the box of actions, because, like Azrael said, that's what matters more, actions, right? So now let's go to the second point, right? Attributes and badges, like the brother Obadiah spoke on. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians 13. 1 Corinthians 13. And we're going to start at verse number 4, and we're going to read 4 through 7.
Con. 1 Corinthians chapter what?
13.
13 and verse 4. Charity suffereth. Slackies. Want to say something?
No, is it small?
Nah. Yeah. While I was reading that again, that's better.
Verse 4.
1 Corinthians 13, starting at verse 4, reading 4 through 7.
Okay. It says, charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity, what is it? Vaunted, not itself. Is not puffed.
That's the font, man. I clicked on the wrong Bible, I guess. It gave like King James version, like the actual King James.
Both of the brothers left at the same time? Brothers glitching out, going to another portal.
Rapture, man. 2 is left in the city, man.
God.
Let me see if this one's better. What is that? 1 Corinthians 13. If this one got the other type of writing style. 13:4. No, that's still the same.
Sure. All right. I just, you know.
Yeah. Charity wanteth, though.
Oh, that's wanted?
Yeah.
Oh, charity wanteth not itself, is not puffed up, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, it is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things.
Hey, so 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 7, man. It's pretty much a quality or attribute that we should want to possess. Again, we're talking about building quality character, right? The first of these is charity. Charity is equal to love, right? So we got to be able to have this type of quality or attribute. Why? Because when you're looking for a partner, if you don't have somebody, or you're not looking at somebody that's able to be charitable the same amount of level that the Lord requires us to be charitable on, it's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of confusion, right? We're firm at the hopeful elect in giving alms and believing that that's one of the things that the Most High asked us to do. So we have to do it because it's our reasonable service. So you got to find somebody that's on that same level as you when it comes to charity, right? Let's go to the next one. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 2. It's lucky. I know I cut out for a second, man. I don't know why. I hadn't had problems all day, but I'm having issues right now, man. So
yeah, the brother Denal went out at the same time you did, man. We thought both of y'all raptured up, man.
Crazy. But let's read this in Ephesians 4 and 2.
The book of Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 2. With all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, can you read that one more time?
Ephesians 4 and 2. With all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love.
Hey, lowliness and meekness, man. Being humble. You got to have somebody that's humble, right? You got to have somebody that's able to long suffer. It's called patience. You know, there's a few attributes in here that we must possess. And when you're looking for a partner, again, your partner must possess these type of qualities. It's the same thing when you go to Galatians 5, right? The fruits of the spirit. Those are the attributes that brother Obadiah brought up and mentioned, that when you're looking for a partner, you should desire them to have. Because if you're looking for someone that just has the physical but lacks the fruits of the spirit, but lacks these qualities, you're going to have a tough time having a partner that you're able to be pleased with in a spiritual level, right? On a spiritual level. So again, look for these things. Let's get the next one. Colossians 3 and 13.
If the null time's in time, he can read it.
Can y'all see me?
It's on you.
Colossians 3 and 13. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye.
Right. Being able to forgive. Forgiveness is a big thing that a lot of people don't know how to properly do, because we like to hold on to grudges. We like to get even. We don't like to forgive men of their trespasses. We don't like to go to our brother and say, brother, you have offended me, right? We like to hold the grudge and say, okay, I'm gonna get you back. We like to be narcissistic and just cut people off entirely and not talk to them no more. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because we don't know how to properly forgive. And we got to be able to do that. So when you're looking for a spouse, when you're looking for a partner, you got to see that they have this type of quality. Are they able to forgive you if you do something wrong? Because think about it. If you're looking at marriage to be the end goal and you want to be married for a long time, because everybody should, because what God had joined together, let no man put asunder, right? But just say you all have a disagreement over something. If you chose the person that, yeah, they look good, they look great, they looked amazing, right? But they weren't able to forgive. Now all of a sudden you got divorce papers sitting on your desk, your chair, your table, because this person doesn't know how to properly forgive, right? So we have to be able to see these qualities. We have to be able to see this thing is tripping. Can y'all hear me?
You had went out.
Man. But yeah, you got to make sure you have a partner that checks all the boxes. All right. Now let's go to the next one, Philippians 2 and 3. Again, Salakia, man, I don't know why this thing is starting to trip now. I haven't had problems with connection all day. But let's read this in Philippians 2.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves.
Right, man. Hey, we don't do strife, vainglory, right? We don't, again, that goes back into the spirit of like holding grudges almost to an extent. We got to be able to learn how to properly forgive. And this is one of those things that, that was listed to, again, further build upon the point of those attributes, being humble, being having a sense of humility, right? So we got another precept. Let's go to Proverbs 31 and 26.
You said 31?
Yeah, Proverbs 31 and 26.
The book of Proverbs 31 and 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Right. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and read that again one more time so I don't butcher it.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
And in her tongue is the law of kindness, right? These are badges, virtues that we must have to earn, It's kind of like going from bronze level to Hall of Fame on NBA 2K. You know, kindness. When you've got to the point where maybe you didn't have much wisdom, right, as a spouse, but then you get to the point where when you're opening your mouth and all that comes out of your mouth is the law of kindness, that's kind of like a progression, you know. That's like a badge. It's like putting VC to the right places and you getting the right badges, right? That's an attribute, a badge, a virtue that we should all have and strive to desire, right? And it's not just for the same precepts that we read for men can apply for women. The same ones that we read for women can apply to men, right? Like the brother Azrael did a lesson on being a Proverbs 31 nation. Men has to have these qualities as well, because you can't expect someone to come and make you a home if you don't know how to take care of a house. And I'm saying that not as in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense. You got to have the same qualities that you want your spouse to possess. A lot of times on this earth, and a lot of times lately, we see a lot of people, especially women, ranting about how their man has to have this and their man has to have that. And one of the rebuttals that we always hear is women always want men to have X, Y, and Z, but they don't even have it themselves. You want your man to make 6 figures, but you don't even make 5. Like, make it make sense, you know? And I'm a firm believer in, if you want somebody to be some way, you have to really show them the way to really be. Not tell them, but show them through action, through word and deed, right? Let's get another one. Proverbs 20:6. This is another badge. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 6.
You to know?
This is Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find?
Right. Read it one more time.
Proverbs 26. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find?
Right. Hey, look, I put it like this. These are attributes that we want to upgrade in, okay? Again, this is talking about being faithful. If you don't have the sense of faithfulness, if you don't have the sense, the inclination that the partner that you're searching for will be faithful, you probably are not going to want to desire to be with that person. So you should definitely seek someone that is faithful and will be faithful unto you. Because again, it goes back to understanding, learning how to forgive. Sometimes people begin to be unfaithful. Well, unfaithful people will be your more unforgiving people, because a lot of times in life when trials and tribulation hits, that's when they start, hitting the door. A lot of times we start going through hardships, whether it be financially, whether it be physically, whether it be, just disagreements. The unfaithful people will hit the door. So this is one of the main badges, the main virtues that somebody has to have is a faithful spirit. You got to know that they are going to be faithful regardless of whatever situation that you're in as a partner, right?
Salakia.
Go ahead.
The end of this precept, but a faithful man who can find. That is a question that women, females in the world, and also in the walk of obedience, they all ask that question, because it's hard to find a good, faithful man, even in the walk of obedience, even in the truth, right? And yeah, we know, it's not a sin to have multiple wives. We know that. But I'm talking faithful in the sense of you can trust your man, right? In the world, what's the saying, right? Yeah, all N-words cheat, all brothers cheat. I'm gonna start dating outside my race because all brothers cheat. And a lot of women, they don't believe. A lot of women, they've settled in the world and they've said, you know what, I've given up. All of them are gonna cheat. Just expect it and don't. As long as I don't catch you, it's okay, right? Just do your part and be smart about it. Some of them even open up the relationship because they don't believe that they can find a faithful man. Even in this walk of obedience, being a faithful man is all about being honest with your wife, right? With your spouse. It's all about being honest. And if you're honest with your spouse, she's gonna be honest with you, right? Like the brother Isaiah just said, right? The characteristics you want to find in your spouse, you have to possess those characteristics yourself, right? And so that question, but a faithful man who can find a faithful man, that lets you know, women, when you do have a faithful man, you got to cherish him, because I'm here to tell you today, man, y'all don't know the half, and y'all may know the half of what these women go through that really do not. It's hard to find a faithful man. Don't just look at the man that, you know, proclaims to be faithful and he calls you all the pet names and he takes you on all the great dates. That man right there, you know, he's proclaiming his own goodness, right? Sometimes you got to ask around. Sometimes you got to wait and see. Sometimes you got to see what his rapport and his reputation is, right? And a lot of times in this walk of obedience in the truth, that can save a lot of girls some heartache. But what happens is, you know, they let beauty deceive them. We talked about how beauty can deceive men, but beauty can deceive a woman. And all of it could have been avoided if she could have just simply asked some sisters around her, hey, what do you know about this brother? That sister probably, girl, I talked to him last year. Girl, he did this to me. If you would have just asked about your, but the thing is this, you think you got something special. You think that, oh, you've been chosen to talk to him. He, out of all the girls in the world, he talked to you and only you. And you think just because he got all the clout and you're so pretty, you deserve a man with clout, and you're gonna keep it on the down low. Men don't come in my DMs. I'm talking to somebody. I'm not gonna let you know who I'm talking to, but I'm talking to somebody. But this is what you got to do, woman. Be discreet, yes, but also do your research, right? Do your research, because a faithful man who can find one, right? So that means you have to. It's the same with Proverbs 31, right? Who can find a virtuous woman? Both sides of the coin are hard to find. So when you're doing your finding, you have to make sure you're doing you got the right thing, because they're hard to find. Pecan, are you
right? Hey man, do your due diligence as a man and a woman that's looking for a spouse. Again, we're overall talking about creating this perfect person. If you want to create somebody to be what you want them to be, not only do you have to possess certain qualities, because like the brother Azrael just stated, you're going to overlook a lot of things if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of qualities about yourself. If you're not really a prudent man, you're going to not foresee a lot of the things that is going to be revealed in a relationship down the line, that if you would have maybe asked the right questions, maybe did a little bit more praying and fasting beforehand, the answer would have been given unto you, you know? So you got to possess certain qualities too, and that will help you be able to create the perfect spouse, right? But that was good. Let's go to the book.
Oh, I forgot to put this one up anyway.
Man, I really am getting agitated with this. But we've addressed the myth of perfection, right? Being made in God's image. And we've also addressed, you know, attributes and badges, right? So now let's address spending your VC, which is virtual currency in 2K, spending your VC wisely. Let's go to Ephesians 5:25. Ephesians 5:25. So Lakia, if I cut out, like I said, I haven't had network problems all day. Don't know why you get on live and you start having network issues, right? Let's read.
Satan watching, trying to stop you.
So let's read this in Ephesians 5.
This is Ephesians 5:25. It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
Man, and the same thing, you know, we always bring this out because it's important. If you're in a partnership, a relationship, if you want to be a husband, you got to love your wife as Christ loved the church. You got to be willing to lay down your life for your wife and your children. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not fit to be a husband. And women, you got to learn about that type of faithfulness in a man, right? You have to find out if a man is that faithful, if he's faithful unto you even unto death, right? You have to find the same thing with a woman. Brothers, you got to find that type of woman. you know, I talk to my wife and we be going over scenarios that we normally see them happen in movies, but they could potentially happen in real life. And I asked her a question one day. I said, so somebody break in our house and hold us up at gunpoint, and they say, you'll keep your life if you let this person that's holding you with a gun lay with you in front of my face. What you doing? She said, I just die. And that's the type of mentality that you got to have, right? That's the type of mentality that as a man, you got to be willing to even lay down your life for your wife. Because if somebody told me that, hey, I could keep my life if I just let this man lay with my woman, guess what I'm gonna be doing? I'm gonna be fighting. And if I gotta go, then I gotta go. Because why? Again, you gotta love your wife, love your spouse as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. You got to be willing to die about that thing.
Salakia too. Salakia too, man. You know, and that's 100% facts, and it's easier said than done. When I think about scenarios like that, I think about slavery. A lot of our people in slavery, you know, they didn't go out swinging. They let it happen. You know what I'm saying? They were led to, some of them jumped off the ship. Some of them, you know, they didn't, they went ahead and died because they didn't want to see their wife with the master and stuff like that. Some of them, but the majority of them, I'm led to believe a majority of them wanted their life so bad that, they let it happen and say, it's okay, Nettie. It's okay. It's okay, Pete. It's so, they say brothers be consoling another brother while he crying and he hearing all these noises from the big White House, and and I believe it was like that because they had no knowledge of the scriptures for real of who they were. They didn't know that they were supposed to be like Christ and give themselves, right? They didn't know they were supposed to be comfortable with death if it meant honor, right? So Khan, it's facts. It's harder said than done, but it's facts. Are you?
Hey man, death before dishonor, man. That's a cliche saying. People used to say it when I was in high school, but as I'm older now and I'm in the knowledge of the commandments, man, death before dishonor. If anybody tried to take my life because of my wife, they desire my wife that much, we gonna have to hey, I'm going out swinging. I'm sorry, I ain't just gonna sit there and sit back and let you think you finna have your way with my body, right? And I say my body specifically because, like he says in 1 Corinthians 7, when you get married, your partner's body is no longer their own. It's yours now. So you ain't finna have your way with me just because you think you got a pistol. If either way it go, we gonna both.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Hey man, I was watching Diamond Jim, and the dude that is over it all, the big black dude. They got a slogan that's called "To the Death," and at the end of Ashton Hall's video that he did with him, he was like, a lot of times y'all hear me talk about death and dying a lot, but that's because I don't know what his profession is, but he said that's because my profession, I got to be real comfortable with death.
He's a firefighter.
Oh yeah, he was like, I gotta be real comfortable with death, man. So I say it a lot, so that way, if it come down to it, if I gotta risk my life, I go ahead and have it. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of and he mentioned, he was like, death is uncomfortable to talk about, but a lot of us men, we kind of we gotta revert back to our culture and understand, death is not the end, and we gotta get comfortable with it because we can't love our life more than what our life is worth. You know what I'm saying? These lives are meant to be temporary, right? So
Right, man.
I was gonna say, man, you gotta be able to let it go at the drop of a dime, man. You go through your day, even from a minuscule standpoint, you go through your day, you got it mapped out in your head. Yeah, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go to Smoothie King after the gym, I'm gonna go home, watch my whatever, right? It might catch you, you know, as you walking out of the gym, right before you walk into Smoothie King, right? You don't even get to enjoy your smoothie that you was thinking about all day, right? That's on a minuscule level. Think about a bigger picture, right? You gotta drop your life at the drop of a dime, and you won't be able to see your kids grow up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be willing to drop your life at any moment, right? And you know, for righteous reasons, you gotta be able to let all of that go and be like, hey, if right now is the moment, right now is the moment. And you know, a lot of people fold when they get to that moment because they think about the future and what they can see with their physical eyes and stuff like that, not knowing that it'll be better to die in some scenarios than to forego other scenarios. But
I ain't gonna lie, and that's one of the things too. You gotta have somebody that's willing to even let your kids die for the name of the Lord. Like, it's gonna go into our next point of everything that we saying, but you got to think of it like, again, some people glorify their children to the point where they'll say, "Look, I may not, I may die for my wife, but I may try to do whatever it takes to let my children live." You know what I'm saying? Like, if they say denounce the name of God so your child won't get shot in the head in front of your face, some people will just denounce the Lord because they, in their mind, they start getting prideful and they were like, well, surely the Lord wouldn't want me to let my child just get killed. Why would I want to serve a God that just want to let my child die just because?
Just because what up?
Day, scenario. This is an extreme scenario because, again, the thing that we're trying to get to is having that sense of, having that sense of, I guess you could say, investments, right? Spending, being willing and able to lay it down for your partner, for your marriage, right? Can
Hey,
y'all hear me?
Salak.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, O.
Salaki, man, and that's good. That's good talks to have with your wife, man. Me and my real, I know I had this was I think on the way to men's night one time. Had a conversation with her, like, basically like giving her some exhortation. If something ever happened to me and I had to die for the Lord, it's something just to talk about, man. 'Cause I know a lot of women think about that, right? Dang, what I'm gonna do without my husband. If something happened to him, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But it's good to give exhortation in moments like that or situations like that if they do happen, especially coming into the times that we coming in where some of us have to be martyrs and some of our wives may be left, alive with the children. They have to know how to stay sane during those times. So it's good to give them exhortation as well too. If something happened to us, they got to be willing to die, right? They got to be willing to. They have to stay strong. When you ain't in the picture, But yeah.
Hey brothers, that means you gotta follow the letters, man. What the letters say: if they young, let them marry, bro. You gotta tell her it's okay to move on, bro. You deserve to be loved.
Right.
Not too
Don't be
young.
sitting up here being bitter, man. About this life that the Lord gave us, because He giveth and He taketh away. At any given moment, right? The things that we have in this life, He gave us, and He'll take them away. So it ain't just got to be your life; it can be the things attached to it, which includes your partner, right? But let's keep going. Let's go to Sirach 4:16. Sirach 4:16.
Go back on this one. So I can.
Con, let's read this. It's Sirach.
Who's it on? I'll go. Sirach chapter 4:16. If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession.
Hey, man, if you commit yourself to a woman, you're going to inherit her. It's like a possession, right? And I know that, again, some of these words that are used, people get offended by it, but everything has a purpose. The way the Lord has certain things written down, it was for a purpose. So inheritance. When you get married, your wife is an inheritance. You inherit her. She is now your possession. I was talking to one of my friends. I went to a Jacksonville Jaguars game on Sunday, which is why, we didn't get on late, because it was a long trip from uh, where I stay at, Warner Robins, Georgia. But I'm sharing that information because I actually am glad that, I got to spend an extra ample of time of, not rekindling, because the relationship never died, but being able to catch up with an old friend, because I was able to give some relationship advice from a standpoint of being a young married man. And one of the things that we talked about was um, how a woman is viewed as in a man's eyes as a possession, and I was talking to, my homeboy. He has a girlfriend. We was having a conversation about, why men do things the way they do sometimes, and I was just giving her a little insight, as to why men may move the way they move, and why men are so possessive, and why there's a lot of ego associated with a man when it comes to their women, right? And it's because we view our women as possessions, not as objects that can just be thrown away and, you know what I'm saying, just broken apart and put back together like a car, but possessions as in something that we truly value, something that we possess and we take care of. We own the rights to this. And when a man truly loves something, he takes real good care of it, right? The analogy I brought up to her, my homeboy's girlfriend, was, think about all the men, because they live in Jacksonville. So I said, we live in a city where, well, y'all live in a city where there's a lot of men who may drive these old school cars. They got them on rims. They invested a lot of money into it, right? That is his possession. He is proud of it. He takes pride in it, right? So it's the same thing like we read in Ephesians 5, like we're reading here in Sirach 4 and 16. If you commit yourself unto a woman, you inherit her, right? And your generation shall hold her in possession, right? Everything, everything that you should look for in a partner should be found in these scriptures that we're bringing out, right? It shouldn't be wisdom of the world given, right? If a man doesn't make 600,000, he's not a good man. If a man doesn't have an 850 credit score, he's not a man to be desired, right? Those are foolish wisdoms, but the wisdom in the scriptures supersede all, right? Because this whole Ephesians 5, Sirach 4, all we're going into is being able to spend our VC.
You broke up, King.
Virtual currency, virtual cash. That's what VC means.
Right. Virtual currency. But it's used in the game to buy attributes, to buy things that you can build into your player. So all we're talking about right now is making the right investments, spending your quote unquote VC wisely, investing in your partner, being invested. The way that you're invested is by, one, willing to lay down your life for it, understanding that it is your possession, it is your inheritance, right? So you have to take care of it, because now it's your responsibility to do so. Let's go to another one. 1 Peter 3 and 7. 1 Peter 3 and 7. I'm gonna try to flow through these scriptures smoothly, because we got a few more, but I know I keep lagging. So 1 Peter 3 and 7. Let's read.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 3 in verse number 7. It says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
Right, man. You got to understand that you're going to have to invest in your understanding of how to be, I guess you could say, on the same page with your wife, or how to understand the position of your wife. You're going to have to make an investment to that. Because why? Read it again. It says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife. That's an investment, to dwell with her according to knowledge, right? To give honor unto her. These are investments that you have to make, because being that the woman is the weaker vessel, right? In being that you are heirs together, you have to realize that there's a certain level of responsibility that you have as a man to lead her in certain ways, because she is the weaker vessel. So you have to make the right investments in yourself. You have to make the right investments into your relationship, right? Let's go to Sirach 32 and 12. Sirach 32 and 12. I know we going back a lot of forward to Sirach, but hey, that's why I said Saturday on the Sabbath when the brother Obadiah asked us, what are your favorite books? Sirach was one of them. It's a lot of wisdom in Sirach, or Sirach, excuse me. But let's read Sirach 32 and 12.
Sirach chapter 4 and verse 16.
Oh,
No. Wrong one.
My bad.
We just read that one.
32 and 12.
Yes, sir. 32 and 12. There you go, O.
Sirach chapter 32 and verse 12. There take thy pastime and do what thou wilt, but sin not by proud speech.
Now, the reason I said I wanted this read because, again, pastime. When we're talking about making investments into your partner, right, spending your VC wisely, you have to know that the Lord gives us pastime. And with our pastime, we have to spend our time wisely. You shouldn't spend your time doing foolish things, and you shouldn't spend your time making bad investments, right? Impulse buying is the reason a lot of people go broke. So you have to do things the right way at any given time, whether it's you're doing the work of the Lord or you have a moment to kick your feet up and relax, right? This is now the lesson is centered around finding a spouse. So just say, right, let's consider this pastime a season where maybe you're not looking at anybody, maybe you're not talking to anyone exclusively or inclusively, right? Maybe it's just you by yourself. In this pastime, you need to be making the right investments. This is the time where you build yourself up and you practice, or you start creating, I guess creating could be the word. You start generating those same qualities that you're looking for in a spouse. You start generating those in yourself, right? You start doing what it takes to build yourself up, to get yourself to the same standard that you want to uphold your spouse to, or that you feel like your partner has to live up to, right? During this time, we can consider this like when you get off work and before you go home, you go to the gym. Just say the gym is your pastime. In the pastime at the gym, you shouldn't be at the gym sitting down scrolling on your phone. You may do a couple lifts and now you're in the bathroom taking pictures like you done got a workout in, posturing and stuff like that. Nah, in the gym, you need to be going hard. Complete your workout so that way you can get back to the house and take care of your responsibilities, right? Or if you're somebody that goes to the gym first, if you got your pastime at the beginning of the day, then make the most of your pastime. Invest in it. Take pride in it, right? Build yourself up like you should so that way, as time goes on, your partner, if you're already married, will begin to notice, hey, you've been putting in work in the gym, you're starting to look good, right? Or if you weren't somebody that looked good before, your partner will say, hey, or excuse me, not if you weren't somebody that looked good before, but if you weren't married, right, then the next time you talk to somebody, they'll probably be a little bit more attracted to you because in the past time you built yourself up. I'm not just talking about on a physical sense either. I'm not talking about going to the gym, getting a six-pack of abs. I'm talking about on a spiritual level as well, right? On a spiritual level as well. Let's go to Luke 14 and let's read 28 and 30. Luke 14, 28 and 30. 28 through 30. Excuse me.
The book of Luke, chapter 14, chapter 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
Come on, keep reading.
29. Lest happily, after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him,
Come on.
saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish.
Look, man, in your pastime, this is why you need to build yourself up as a partner, right? Male or female. If you're seeking to be a wife, and we've done a lot of lessons and videos about, being a traditional wife, becoming a wife, becoming a helpmeet, right? Becoming a man, becoming a spouse, looking for a spouse. Go check our channel. We have plenty of videos covering these topics in detail, right? But when you're becoming a wife, We're just giving more ammunition. When you're becoming a wife, you got to build yourself up during your pastime. If you in a single season and you've been single for a long time, you're not talking to nobody, this is the time where as a woman, you build those women characteristics, right? Those nurturing characteristics. You may be a woman who realizes, hey, I catch an attitude easily. Well, now is the time to work on your temperance, right? You may not be the most humble woman. You may be taking a lot of vain pictures because the Lord blessed you to look good, okay? Well, now it's time to work on being humble because the Lord can make you ugly. And I'm seriously saying that on the physical sense too. Like there's people who have literally burnt up in a fire and now they look like scary movie creatures because of situations that they were in. And the Lord can do that to you, right? So don't think that you're above reproach. In your pastime, you need to be building yourself up, right? This is considered counting the cost because it costs to be in a relationship. If you're trying to create a partner, if you're trying to create this person to be what you want them to be, it's going to come with some sacrifices that are what I was saying is the only way you can make those sacrifices is by ensuring that you have enough funds in the bank to cover those necessary sacrifices, those necessary purchases, right? And I'm speaking on a spiritual sense. Don't think of it as in a physical sense. Yes, this is a physical scale too, but spiritually speaking, you have to count the cost, build yourself up, because it's going to mock you when you had all this time when you were single to work on money management, to work on, building, to work on, work on your patience, work on your temperance. And you maybe was talking to somebody before and then y'all flamed out because you was like, well, y'all both agreed that you're not ready, right? So during that time of y'all separation, you were supposed to be working on those things that prevented you from being in a relationship with that person, but you didn't. So because you didn't, then y'all get back to the point, okay, y'all trying to rekindle the fire, and then just the girl comes back and she's like, dang, you haven't changed one bit, and now walks out your life for good. Why? Because you didn't count the cost when you had the pastime, and you wasn't able to build and finish on the things that you were building, right? So let's go into the last main point is team chemistry, right? Let's go to Amos 3:3. Amos 3:3. Team chemistry. Again, we're talking about building a spouse similar to the way we play NBA 2K. I know a lot of people don't play 2K. I don't even play 2K. But when I did, that's how it was. You played the game, you was able to create this player, you was able to take this player from the bottom to the top, and it required you to spend money, it required you to invest time, it required you to do a bunch of different things. So now let's talk about the team chemistry, because when you create this player on 2K, they're going to have to fit into a team. The only way you can increase this player's value as a player to get them the most money to maximize their potential as an athlete is by building chemistry with the team. On 2K, if you don't have team chemistry, you're not going to get the ball a lot when you call for it. You're not going to see the floor a lot. And it's going to cause you to sit at the end of the bench. It's going to cause you to be underused. Then you'll be traded. Or if not traded, you'll be cut. Then you won't have a Hall of Fame career. So we're trying to help you have a Hall of Fame spouse and a Hall of Fame career in finding a spouse. Go ahead.
I was gonna say also team chemistry is not hard to point out. It's not, and the lack thereof is not hard to spot. Not, you can spot it from a mile away. I know we all know those couples that when they come around, they don't got no chemistry. They scoffing under their throat at each other. One of them's a little aggressive, the other one, them throwing their hands up, you know what I'm saying, and rolling their eyes. And then also you can spot who does have, good chemistry, you know what I'm saying, where they're always laughing, giggling, finishing each other's sentences, volunteering to do stuff for each other, right? So chemistry is definitely open to the public, which is another good reason why you guys should have chemistry, right? If you guys want to be role models, if you guys want to be examples of the Most High God, right, and what a godly relationship should be, right? Not only for you, but for the people that's outwardly looking, right? Pecan.
Khan, this is Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Come on, man.
Con, can y'all hear me?
Khan. Not anymore.
Salakia. Again,
Con.
chemistry is the main thing to be desired, right? When you're seeking a spouse, this is the most important. Not no more.
Yeah, we can.
Y'all can't hear me no more.
We can.
He probably a little behind
Y'all
with the
can.
voice.
Y'all go. Yeah. I think I'm lagging. I'm lagging. So what I was saying is that chemistry is the main thing to be desired.
This just in. This episode of THE.
Hello? Hello?
Book of Amos chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Oh, you finna break it down now?
What that mean? I teach. What that say?
Hello? Hello?
Can y'all hear me now?
Con.
All right, look, let me read a couple.
Hey man, Satan come quickly, swiftly to try to take away the word. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices.
Let's go to 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Right? And I'll sum it up after we read them.
On you, brother O.
Hello? The second Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?
Right. Let's go to Sirach 25 and 1. Sirach 25 and 1.
The book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 1. It says, in three things was I beautified and stood up beautiful, both before God and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and wife that agreed together.
Right. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7, and let's go to start at verse 3, and we're going to jump down to verses 13 through 17.
Hold on. You said 1 Corinthians
7.
21.
Nah, starting at 3. We're going to start at 3.
It's like it. Starting at 3.
First Corinthians 7, starting at 3, it says, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
Jump down to verse 13 now.
Verse 13, and the woman which has a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
Tom, read 14 through 17 as well.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all churches.
Right. So the reason I want to have all these scriptures read is because I'm trying to put the information, the ammunition out there without all this interruption. Right. But pretty much what I'm saying is that ultimately, team chemistry. All of these precepts, if you read them, they're talking about being one with your partner. Can two walk together lest they be agreed? How can light and darkness walk? What fellowship do they have with each other? Right. The things that's beautiful before God and men is a man and a wife that agrees together. Hey, in 1 Corinthians 7, like we reading, we was talking about this last night in the chat. But sometimes you may be in situations where you're finding a spouse and they may not be on the same page spiritually. Now, you can take the approach of trying to save them through the way that you live your life, because eventually they'll get on board and they'll do the same. However, if they don't, then you just got to kind of kick off the dust of your feet, like Paul said. I'm not, I'm not saying divorce this person if they don't believe in the name of the Lord, if you've already married them. I'm saying before you even court somebody, make sure that y'all are on the same page. Because why? It's a hard thing to try to get somebody spiritually to be on the same type of time as you. Again, we're talking about team chemistry, building the team, making the band, right? So if we're talking about making the band, building the team, you got to make sure that y'all are on the same page. You got to make sure that y'all are in agreement of where this relationship is headed in a spiritual sense. The God that y'all serve is going to have to be something that you're going to have to agree upon, and take it from somebody who's tried before to work with someone who wasn't there. It was easy for me to explain things, and it was easy for me to have patience because of the person that I was with at the time. They were a person who maybe wasn't as irate as other people could have been, but everybody's not the same. So this is an exhortation to people to know who you're dealing with before making the move. See them spiritually first, and then allow the physical to come in and give them plus ones, plus twos. You know what I'm saying? Not the other way around. Don't say, well, spiritually they ain't got it together, but that body banging. So hey, that's a huge deal sealer for me. Like, nah, it got to be the other way around, right? Let's read Ephesians 5:21. Ephesians 5:21. All of these scriptures that we just read, that the brothers just read, are talking about building team chemistry. This is one that tells you about building team chemistry. Let's read this.
The book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 21. It says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God.
Right. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of the Most High. Hey, look, you have to understand that this is the most important thing. When you're finding a partner, you got to find a partner that's willing to submit to the Most High's will with you together. It goes back to, like we read in 1 Peter 3, we got to give honor, you know what I'm saying, to our spouse, give honor to our partner, understand our role in relationship when it comes to the Most High. Because why? Two can't walk together unless they be agreed. It's going to be a hard thing. When the kingdom of Israel got off the same page, they split. When Paul and Barnabas got off the same page, they split. When we started getting on the same page with the other nations, we became off the same page of the Lord. And what happened with us? We split from God. So every situation where everybody's not in agreement, there's going to be a division. And when there's division, there's not unity. And how can it be beautiful for a man and a wife to be divided if the wisdom given in Sirach tells us it's beautiful for a man and a wife that agree together? Think about these things, right? So let me get the last precept, Proverbs 24, and let's read 3 through 4. Proverbs 24, 3 through 4.
Proverbs. Proverbs 3 through 4.
24.
3:24.
No, Proverbs chapter 24, verses 3 through
24.
4.
God. Gotcha. Con. It's on the knob.
Proverbs 24:3. Through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established.
Verse 4.
And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches.
Con, verse 4.
Con,
You
that
can
is
read
verse
it one more time.
Con. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches.
So yeah, look, man, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to build houses through wisdom, right? And we're trying to fill out our chambers with our knowledge and our pleasant riches. And the way we get those riches is through taking the heed to the word of the Lord. So hopefully a lot of the information that was brought out in this lesson can be resourceful to you in your walk in trying to create that perfect partner. Again, we're all made in God's image. So there's things that you can do on 2K that you can't do in real life. You can make somebody 6'8" on 2K. You can't make somebody 6'8" in real life. Now, you probably can buy surgeries and additions and stuff like that. That's cosmetic enhancements. And that's how we know that it wasn't the Lord that gave this person those features. But again, we're talking about even in a spiritual sense, you can't change the way that the Lord made somebody, right? What you can do, though, is enhance in a spiritual sense. Enhance in a spiritual sense, right? You can add to those qualities because nobody's perfect, man. You got to remember the song that J. Cole said, and I quoted it at the beginning, and I'll quote it in closing. You ain't never gonna be happy till you love yours, right? I recommend everybody to listen to that song because the perfect person does exist, right? It just doesn't exist the way you want them to be. So you got to kind of help them reach their peak, reach their prime, reach, you know what I'm saying, those goals and attributes and characteristics and qualities that you want them to have. You got to help build them up in that aspect. Same thing for men to women, same thing for women to men, right? It's no different. But I ain't got no other scriptures, brother. Got anything else to add?
Con, I got one precept, man. Sirach 37.
Bro, I didn't say you could bring it out, bro. I'm just kidding.
Con, Sirach 37:12. This is a go-to classic precept as well. It says, be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. Right. I bring this up to say, and it goes, it's talking about be thou continually with a godly man, but vice versa, man, be thou continually with a godly woman as well. When you go on the search to find your partner or whatever, make sure they're godly. Make sure you know that they keep the commandments of the Lord, right? Make sure that you know that their mind is according to your mind, right? They'll sorrow with you when sorrow is needed, and they'll rejoice with you when rejoicing is needed, right? And this is just good advice all around, just to let you know that the person that you're going to be spending your days with, right, is going to bring you peace. Because if it's not a godly man or woman, it's not going to bring you peace. If you don't know that they keep the commandments, or if you find out that they don't keep the commandments, it's not going to bring you peace. If your mind is not according to your mind, it's not going to bring you peace, right? Ultimately saying you'll be unequally yoked, right? So this is one of the classic precepts I like sharing with brothers and sisters, especially getting into relationships, because you got to keep these things in mind, man, if you want a relationship that's going to flourish. And not all the time is this person gonna, be the finest, or the most handsomest person, right? One thing I will say, I know we talked about it in this lesson also, but one thing I will say is, man, a lot of times you see what people quote unquote say, oh, she's out of his league. You see a bunch of girls with I want to say ugly dudes, right? But unattractive men, right, so to speak. And girls do a lot better job at it than men, because they can see past the physical and to see that if a person's going to be good for them. And so that being said, man, keep this precept in mind when you're going out to choose somebody. Make sure they are fulfilling all these check marks right here if you want the most peace out of your life as possible. Pecan, I yield.
Con, man.
See, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Con, man, real quick. I'm not gonna pull the precepts. I'm just gonna quote them. Mighty lesson, man. Definitely needed, man. In for our generation, for sure. Two things I want to keep in mind: one for the women, one for the men. In Genesis, it tells us that the women will be subject to be ruled by their husband. So, women, when you're looking for a spouse, when you're building a spouse, right, and you're going through that character building, make sure that the man that you allow to be your husband, right, make sure that you're okay with him ruling you, right? What do I mean by that? You know, everybody, if you had to be ruled by somebody, you would want that person to be a specific type of ruler. Make sure that he's that ruler, right? Nice, kind, genuine, long suffering, some of the things we read about. Men, we also read in the precept that the brother Isaiah pulled out, we got to be ready to die for the church. We got to be able to die for our women. So, you know, make sure when you're character building, you're building your spouse, make sure she's a woman that you would die for, brother. You know what I'm saying? Not a woman that you would be like, oh, some brothers be praying that the Lord take their wife out so they can get another wife. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that she's somebody you would die for, man. So keep these things in account when you're getting married. It's very serious when you make that union of becoming one flesh. Constantly.
Hey, man, make sure she in a debt team. She in a debt team, man. You don't want to die over a debt team. The UK slang.
Bro, you sound like you from Ghana. But all right. Yeah. But yeah, man, mighty lesson. I was gonna say, who sing that song? I just want body to treat me like body.
Dang, what? That's a girl, ain't it?
I just want somebody that's gonna love me for me, baby.
Is it
You
Tink?
got.
No,
I
I don't know.
is that somebody? I think is the name of the song. Is that
Tink.
somebody or find that somebody, something like that? But yeah, man, is that too much? That's how the song be going. Y'all just got to find that somebody, and when finding that somebody, refer to this lesson because it'll give you a lot of ammunition, minus all the connection delays. Hopefully you were edified. Might have to redo this one again when with a little bit more of a clearer connection and going a little bit more detail with a lot of the points that were brought up. So all praise, glory, and honor be to the Most High God of our fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, right? The Most High God of Israel. We hope that you were edified in spirit and in truth. And this has been your brothers from the Hopeful Elect. We'll be back on tomorrow with the brother Denal, and we say shalom.